Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're gonna talk about camera dolly. So let's dive right into it. Now first, what we are talking about? We are talking about basically a wheeled cart for filmmaking. This is a very niche kind of tool. This is not something that every Tom, Dick and Harry will use. And even when we talk about movie industry, it is not something that is taken lightly. It is very expensive kind of equipment, and it allows smooth horizontal camera movement. Because if you want vertical movement, you can have basically rigs like cranes. Crane is gonna give you that vertical motion. But what if you have to move parallelly to a surface? In those sort of scenario, you need something like this. Now here's the deal, you can do handheld, and many people do like that, but again, it gives the shaky cam effect, and it is really bad for absorbing the detail. Even for your camera, like even your camera wants to be in as stable position as possible. Otherwise the motion blur will you could have like a 6 megapixel sensor, but the data output would be equivalent to 2 megapixels simply because of the motion blur. So fundamentally, it's a desirable thing to have smooth horizontal camera movement if you need it, if your cinema needs it. And then whenever you need a very long shot, for example on a battlefield, and you want to follow a soldier is going like few like meters or 10-20 meters, in those sort of scenario, tracks will be utilized to give long smooth motion. And this is one of those things that when you talk about a movie industry, there are many things. We may focus on actor, characters, audio equipments or camera, but there are many sub equipments, and this is one of them that allows you to achieve what we call cinematic shots. Because if done correctly, if done properly with proper experience and tools, you are talking about a scene that will just feel quality. It will like feel it, and you can easily tell this movie is made by someone on low budget. This movie is made on like someone like who has more than enough money, because you can feel it that these tools directly translate to how your final picture looks. So fundamentally, there is a reason why people invest in this sort of thing, and it does need a crew to operate. This is not a system where you can find some variants that are trying to be automated, but most are manual, as in a person will be the responsible one to move it forward or backward, to slow it down or to speed it up. Everything is hand driven. And when it comes to pricing, you can type dolly and you will get very cheap. I'll make a dolly in $50, make a dolly in like a few thousand dollars. Like, but here's the deal, they start very low, that's absolutely true. However, they go hyper expensive. What does that mean? That simply means you cannot buy these things. Fundamentally, high-end one, they are only for rent. They are not something that you can buy. Like, you can buy RE cameras, you can afford the highest end RE camera, but you cannot afford these things. And not to mention, you wouldn't even want to do that because they always require a crew to operate. So even if you bought this, you have to either have a crew on rotation, or you rather deal with a renting house that's like, no, we're gonna give you the crew and we're gonna give you the tools for it. So that's why generally these go to idiotically high expenses. Now, how does this work? Like, inherently, it is a stable motion platform. Now, what you do on it, that's up to you. You can just have a camera that is moving backwards and forward. You can have a camera and a focus puller that is giving you that effect, like zooming in and zooming out at the same time. So basically, main frame remains more focused and background disappears. So you can do that. It's a motion platform. You can do whatever you want to do, and even the lowest end one will allow you to have one focus puller, because you have to understand, cinema camera do not rely on autofocus. They always have a person. So generally, dolly systems have a way to have one person manning the system, so to say. Or you can on low budget one, you can try directly drive by wire autofocus system, and they are manpower for motion, that's absolute. Hydraulic systems are used for cinema grade equipment. Now you may be like, why hydraulics? Well, you can utilize electric, but does come with the consequence that it does need big ass battery. Now hydraulic does have the benefit that you can have a small tank and you can pressurize hydraulic oil into it, and then you can utilize that pressure like a slow leaking system. And hydraulics are inherently damped motion, so if you want smooth motion, hydraulic is the best option. Like, it will be much smoother than any electrical system. So by definition, it will be like smooth, flowy state. You can always achieve that with hydraulics. With electronics, you have to do a lot of system to do that, but in hydraulic, like, that's a default behavior. And then whenever you want to utilize these things, now because of the capability of this equipment, you also have to figure out a surface. Now if you have shooting in, let's say, a giant warehouse which has like very good concrete floors, you can just go YOLO on it. But generally, most of the time, you will utilize tracks. Now you can have a scenario where, like, let's say you want to follow a character through a hotel. You may have a scenario where like people are actually laying down tracks, or the shot could be shot in reverse, and then you play it forward. So removing tracks becomes a bit easier, whatever have you, because these things, they require a setup. That's why I specified they are crew kind of equipment. These are not like, okay, cameraman, action. No, it's like 5 to 6 people have to work on it, minimum 4. And pushing and pulling generally done by one person, but it can require 2 person if you have way too many people or equipment around. Because for example, you can even have a crane on top of these things. That's why I said like this is a very high-end equipment. Now when you're talking about a crane on this, the motion that you can achieve, it's like mind-bogglingly amazing, like flat out. Unless you know what you're looking for, you'll be like, how the heck that camera moved that way? And this is one of these things that you can easily spot. This is a movie in low budget, this is a movie in high budget, because in high budget they kind of show it off where they'll have cameras like that are following. You're like, how, what is happening here? So that's why what this is on a whole different level. Like this is not something that amateurs will attempt. Like they will try to with their low equipment, but like you can flat out tell this is a low equipment or this is a high grade equipment. Then let's understand the Hollywood level of this. Now, why does somebody want to invest this kind of money? Like again, Hollywood is like, not a YOLO money kind of system where you have to be like very mindful where you want to spend money. We may think that, oh, they have more than enough money, but yes, they do cut corners. So why would you want to invest in this? Well, it gives you one of the most amazing advantage. Camera becomes mobile. Now, camera, when we are talking about like a small DSLR, like what I'm utilizing, or mirrorless cameras, these are, who cares? These are too small. But when you're talking about a cinema grade, and God forbid it's a proper 3D system where you have two movie grade camera with two independent lens system, it would be so basically heavy, as in like 10 to 15 kilograms, that is flat out impossible to be mobile with it. You may be like, what about tripod? Here's the, it will take at least 15 to 20 minutes to move tripod from point A to point B. Now what if let's say it takes 30 minutes to set this up, but you set it up in the morning. It's like, okay, camera crew came in and you just set it up, everything. Now because it does have arm, it does have flexibility, you can just make it rough enough, and when the actor and actresses start to show up in the set, then you cannot, okay, the actor's height is this eye level, I'm gonna set the exact camera lens line to be exactly here. Let's say actor is not wearing some high heels, or you can have like this eye level. It has to be at eye level, again depending on your scene requirement. So in those sort of scenario, you get the ability to fine tune it on the spot. And here's another aspect. Many times artists and basically people behind the scene will work out very methodically. We're gonna have the scene here, we're gonna have a table here, we're gonna have an actor here, and we're gonna sit here. And especially if it's a practical effect shot, but most of the time people still want some freedom. It's like, I thought it, like I get it, like we draw the blocking diagram and like that's how it's supposed to be, but it's not feeling it. And every scene is taken multiple times, like shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. So sometimes having something like this, they might like, hey, what if we move it a little bit left? We know we planned it, we already have shots for it, but what if let's move it? And like, whoa, this looks amazing. It happens. This is like it allows you to have high levels of improv. So people do want that. And when it comes to steering option, my god, this is mind-boggling. So even if you have a flat surface, you're not limited. You may be like, okay, I need tracks to get the most out of it. No, tracks will only give you length. This puppy has so many driving options. It's like our car looks like a baby, please. It has rear steering, so only the rear will move. So camera is like a kind of, it will give you like a neck kind of motion. Then you can have a crab motion, so you can like literally, you are going like this, steering person will twist it, and then it's like, okay, it's doing Tokyo drift. Then you have narrow gauges, that is done if you want to go through a doorway. And then you have round and round. So round and round you can utilize, let's say you have 15-16 people, like military shots they have, like people are around the ring, we're gonna do this, and it's like camera is spinning inside that circle. Generally done like this. So it does have a lot of option even without tracks, so be mindful. That's why like they are so expensive. And I have provided a video down below of a high grade equipment, like equipment that you do not buy, you don't even think about buying it, you only worry about how much dollar you have to spend renting it. And generally runs on hydraulic power, so you only charge it up like depending how many times, how many complicated motions you're gonna do. The only arm requires energy. Generally they are done hydraulically. So in case of your, let's say, remote shoot where you do not have the luxury of power, you will have a handle, you're gonna keep doing like this to pressurize the tank, and then you're gonna be awesome. Or you can just utilize a motor to power that up. So this is Hollywood level. And be mindful, these equipments last a very long time. So many of these equipment, they're like, no, this equipment shot in 1970, this masterpiece movie, and then we are using this again. Like that's how long lasting these equipments are. Then we come to low budget aspect. Now you can make it yourself. The first thing you type dolly, cinema dolly, is that you're gonna get something like this, where you're gonna have a PVC pipe and a wooden board and the skate wheels. Now does this work? Yes, absolutely. Compared to not having this versus having this will be a much better deal. However, be very mindful, these are generally specified for low grade equipment or lightweight equipment, aka mobile phones, smartphone. You can buy a system that have only one powered wheel, and because of the arrangement of the other sub wheels, you can arrange, like you can have spinning action, basically how you have weird steering options, you can have that. These are very cheap, like I'm talking less than 10,000 rupees, or like less than $1,000, heck, $50-60 you can get these. But they are made for small equipments, mobile phones, GoPro, a DSLR. DSLR, even a low-end DSLR. Do not expect like very high-end, heavy DSLR. They can do it, but that's the biggest difference. Like you can buy even some mid-range equipment, which like I'm motorized, I have this or that. You may feel like, hey, it has almost everything that I want, and it's like, you know, let's say 1/10 of the price of a high-end cinema version. Why would anybody want to invest on that? Well, lightweight. These things are generally very lightweight. Consequence of that, they have low stability. When you are talking about a camera, let's say you are talking about a two camera system, let's say in Avatar, and if you utilize a low end equipment like this, first of all, like PVC pipe will literally bend under that much stress, so you have to use metal pipes, and you have to have metal pipes, then you have to have specific large diameter wheels, otherwise it will vibrate a lot. So you get that, like by the time you solve every single problem, you'll be back to square one. You're like, should I have bought that directly? So fundamentally, if you are doing a low budget movie, low budget TV show, people use this. These are really used equipment. YouTube videos, a lot of them are being shot by this exact equipment. But reality is, the one thing that you compromise, all these things require everything else to be perfect. For example, your floor has to be absolutely perfect, otherwise you try this, it will like, camera will vibrate a lot, and then you have to stabilize that in post-production, or hope the in-body image stabilization is good enough. So that's why low budget equipments give you that low budget feeling, because you can instantly tell it's like, it's not stable enough. And that's the reason why cinema camera never have image stabilization in them. Like a red camera, RE camera, they don't have image stabilization, because they are being expected to used in high grade equipment which have inbuilt stabilization. For example, giant weight of a dolly system inherently does not allow it to move. So basically, even if you jerk it as fast as possible, in camera it will look like, you know, it will be very smooth, because of the mass increase the inertia dampens any motion, changes in motion specifically. So that's why low budget systems are low budget. Do not expect them to be like, this is more than good enough if you want to do learn the technique, figure things out. But there is a reason why Hollywood have Hollywood level equipment. So this was my presentation on camera dolly. Hopefully this is a new niche kind of equipment that you are now aware of. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.